wanted to just say a couple of things that I associate with my dad, and maybe you guys notice these things too. Maybe he's completely different around friends and coworkers. I have no idea. I've never really seen him in that environment too much, so I only have what I have to go off of. But one thing that I wanted to mention was I've heard a lot recently about how he was as a student when he was really young. And I'm a teacher, in case you weren't aware of that. I teach 4th grade, and what I've learned recently is that my dad would be the last person apparently that you would want as a student. You would not have. Yeah. He would have been probably more, because I hear that he played tricks on his teachers and that he was a real dick to them all the time.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
He's that kind of person, and I'm sure he does this still now, he's that kind of person that always asks why and questions people's intentions of how they do things, and he's not just good enough with the way it is, he wants to know why things are happening the way they are and what your reasoning is behind that. And
that's the lawyer side of him.
That's the lawyer side. And I try to instill that actually in my students, and that reminds me of something else that I wanted to mention, was growing up my dad would always not help me on certain things of homework, especially things like spelling. I would ask him, how do I spell this word? I'm trying to write this paper, and he would say, yeah, right? No, he would say, get a dictionary, look it up, and I would always get so pissed off at him. I was like, you know how to spell, just tell me. How do you spell it? And he wouldn't tell me, so, but now as a teacher, I understand the reasoning behind that, and I always tell my students to look it up in a book. Like my dad always told me, it's in a dictionary, look it up. That's what I tell them all the time. He's also an incredibly detail-oriented person for things like buying things. So whenever I wanted to buy something, I would ask his advice, and he's like, well, you know, my advice would be you should be going on the internet and you should look up this stuff, and you should be referencing it through other magazines and finding out other people's opinions. Well, and I'm more the person that just goes to the Best Buy and I'm like, I want that one. That looks good to me. But he's a very detail-oriented person, and that's just a great quality to have. It creates better family trips that are better organized than anything I probably could have pulled off.
Yeah, but I pale with comparison to college.
The other thing I wanted to really just mention is how my dad has really spent my life at least, and I think Leah's as well, trying to set us up for success when we are at this point now in our lives, I guess, actually. He turned 60 yesterday, I turned 30 this year, so I've been around for half of his life, and I think he spent the last 30 years really trying to do his best to make sure Leah and I were ready for the troubles of life and the tribulations. I think that we're in a pretty good position right now, and we're still working towards perfection, and that'll be a lifelong goal, which he's also trying to do himself. And I'm going to finish off by saying that in all honesty, you are the smartest person in the world that I know. With specific things, obviously, but in general, you're worldly wise, and you've been able to guide me through anything I needed, whenever I needed it, all the time. I don't have the words to really say thank you for everything that you've done for me over the last, especially the last 3 years, but the last 10, 15 years especially have been really important, the amount of help that you've given me, setting me up for the life that I have now. So I thank you for that. And I also just wanted to add some other adjectives to describe my dad.
Now we're getting to the non-fiction part of the story.
You're also one of the most dedicated, giving is the foremost word I want to say here, kind-hearted and caring people that I know. And I want everybody to just raise their glass, and I don't feel like my dad gets enough appreciation for what he does for this family and the extended family and all his friends. I really feel like his humble, introverted self keeps it tucked away, but you deserve all the appreciation in the world. wanted to, I think Leo wanted to say or do something else.
You ready?
Ready?